So I've got an interesting fact for you. On stage today you have two trumpeters and you have two musicians from emo bands. Bit random, isn't it? But that's how me and Gordon have been chatting over email for a little while now, just exchanging band ideas. So if you want any emo band recommendations, you know where to find both of us. How exciting. Okay, so we're here to talk about marketing mix modeling, and obviously in today's evolving marketing landscape, brands need to be able to effectively allocate and maximize return on their budgets. MMM has re-emerged as this statistical technique that supports brands to do this. So could you just give us a bit of an introduction, tell us about your role at Adidas, and a little bit of context as to things you've been doing before?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, just apologies if we go off topic. As Sam said, all of our pre-meets, we just talked about bands and music, but hopefully, this is absolutely my passion. What I'm here to talk about is hopefully it'll all make sense, and if it triggers kind of any thoughts, do just reach out to me later in the day. I'm Gordon Black. I'm Director of Paid Media and Measurement at Adidas, based in Amsterdam. My role is all about basically giving the business confidence to do cool things, to keep being Adidas. But in doing that, it's by understanding what's worked well, what hasn't worked so well. And that doesn't mean, so we only do what's worked well and keep doing that. It's to say, well, and how can we make sure we keep trying new things? Almost carve out those efficiencies we're achieving and do more cool stuff. Brilliant.
And I know some people are still trying to get in the room, so I'm going to long out this intro to see if more people come out the corner. Tell everybody what your band was like, what your favourite emo band is like. It's super interesting. I know the people at the back are screaming for it. I can see you.
Yeah, no, we promised not to talk about this, but we were a ska punk band. But quite a heavy band. It was good fun, but. The audiences we played to there weren't as scary as you guys, it must be said. They were all there, smiling, dancing along. So hopefully later on we'll have some people dancing in the background.
I heard they were also really interested in marketing mix modelling as well. So
absolutely.
In 60 seconds, I'll promise I'll stop talking to you about that now. But for now, could you tell us what marketing mix modelling is in 60 seconds? Is it possible to do it in 60 seconds?
Oh, absolutely. It's an evolving regression technique that allows you to identify the drivers of your sales and quantify their impact and evaluate your return on investment. It's an aggregate safe technique, which means it's privacy safe in this future world. I could rattle on, hopefully that did make sense to some people, but that's irrelevant. What is it to most people? I'd like to think of it like unbaking a cake. You have a cake there, it looks delicious. I want to know what made that cake. MMM is like unbaking that cake and saying, well, what sugar, what flour, what eggs, what oven temperature was required to get to that cake. And then you're able to kind of, by experimentation, essentially, you're a master chef, you're exploring, you're sampling all these different mixes. You come up and you manage to replicate that cake. By doing so, you know exactly what ratios of flour and sugar you need. Perhaps that's like your flour's your brand investment, your sugar's your performance media investment. You know exactly what you need to recreate that cake. But why stop there? I can make a better cake. I now know exactly what ingredients make that. I can tweak, I can add a bit more sugar and make my cake even more delicious. Or to get more boring on this analogy, suddenly we don't have a supplier of that flour anymore. We need to find a new flour that will replace what we've done before. So yeah, I like to think about it like I'm a chef and I get to make delicious things all day.
Brilliant. So trumpeter, chef. What else can you do? So can you just give us a bit more detail as to why this is so important for everybody in the audience?
Yeah, one thing I did mention in the boring part there is an aggregate data safe technique. MMM's been in practice for 50 years, if not more. And it's always been valuable, but quite rightly, kind of for some businesses, they were able to kind of see through their own data analysis, didn't necessarily need full MMM. And relied a lot on things like digital attribution, which has a lot of flaws, and there's a lot of people talking about how it's flawed generally, but now it's kind of at an end of a road as well. It's data privacy means it's become even less reliable, putting a focus back on techniques like MMM, which the big tech leaders have doubled down on this as well, and recognising the importance, with Meta Google, all pushing their own MMM programs to make sure that it's kind of recognised. MMM, however it's banded, is a key thing that can be used to actually evaluate what it is that's driving your business.
Is this possible for smaller to medium-sized brands to do MMM in-house, or do you really have to get in by external expertise?
Yeah, there's a lot of debate about what's the value in doing MMM, and it's absolutely possible to do it no matter what scale you're at. You can do it in-house, you could do it externally with expertise. There's actually a lot of tools out there. For instance, Meta have created their own open source platform, Robin, which allows you to have if you have somebody that's data scientist skilled, they could create their own models. But I'm actually here to advise against that, not specifically Meta and Robin. It's great open source code. There's such a big risk. Like MMM is an art as much as it is a science. You can get somebody that has the skills to develop a model, but it's unlikely you'll actually discover the unicorn that you need to not just build a strong, robust model, but actually understand the business. That cake that we're building is a really complex puzzle. There's not actually one, it's not a jigsaw, it's not one way it can go together. You're actually kind of really having to understand the business, and your data's imperfect, so you might not have everything, and that's something that often people that don't understand it kind of don't understand the importance of what might be missing and how that biases what you have got. So it's kind of a really unhelpful answer. Any scale of business can do it, but the big takeaway for me today is be careful doing it yourself. It's MMM done badly is more dangerous than having no MMM at all.
Are there benefits to bringing the internal expertise and external expertise together, regardless of the scale you're at in your business?
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the case. So I've worked with in different situations. I started my career as a modeler myself, doing marketing analytics. I then went client side, joined Sky, where there's a large in-house team. I'm at Adidas. We work with an external partner, but do some analysis ourselves. I think the combination of who does it, will be unique and what works for you. But there's kind of the trade-off that you're making is having absolute business understanding, which obviously you get with internal teams. Traded off against that kind of expertise and continually evolving and progressing expertise, working with external partners. They have a team that's committed to research and development on the approaches to not just the modelling technique itself, bringing in Bayesian hierarchical techniques, but thinking about how you transform and measure new activity, how you measure with attention. It's like that thinking is likely to be more advanced with external partners. If you get to a scale where you have a large brand, a large team yourself, it absolutely could be achieved internally. But there's a lot of benefit to working with experts. Unless, of course, you do manage to find those unicorns that do exist, that understand it inside out, love it, love the business, can communicate to the business, and achieve the best of all worlds.
Is there anything MMM can't do or doesn't do as well as other techniques?
Yep, up here as an evangelist for MMM, I'm always really keen to talk about all its limitations. Anyone that's used MMM before, the time it takes to deliver MMM is shockingly bad. Some brands have managed to do a great job at accelerating this, and new models can be delivered within weeks, not months now. But typically it does take months to set up MMM, which for the real-time marketer thinker is just not acceptable when they're used to real-time digital attribution and being able to make instant decisions. So first of all, there's just limitations of time it takes. But you're trading off, that time is worthwhile. It takes long because you have to be able to measure longer term effects and not just see the short term signals. But yeah, big downside is it takes so long. Other downside is it often only measures things that are happening at big scale. Completely depends on your business, how reactive it is, to your activities. But ultimately it can be a function of how much you're investing in activity. Some things won't be picked up by techniques like MMM and it will require other granular testing. So this is where for me it's not ever just about MMM. It'll never be your single tool solution. It has to fit into a kind of an ecosystem where you should be combining experimentation or test and learn which gives you more granular detail, allows you to kind of do experiments and literally do kind of I've exposed this group, I've not exposed that group, did they outperform? That was down to this activity. That is a technique that allows you to get very granular, but doesn't allow you to make big level decisions about your investment. So you combine the two, and then you're actually kind of in the best place. The other thing as well is I've ridiculed and told everyone you shouldn't be using digital attribution, but it is a live real-time signal. You should be using it for what it is. As long as you understand its limitations, it still allows you to make real-time decisions within channel. It's dangerous to be comparing cross-channel and comparing to other activity, but it absolutely can be used to make decisions in real time. So biggest thing is MMM's fantastic, everyone should be doing it, but it's not like that's the end point. You need to combine it with other techniques, calibrate, bring that intelligence together. Because one thing that is a bugbear or a real challenge of influencing things is you do ultimately want a single source of truth. And although I've just said you can use MMM for this, you can use experimentation for that, it gets really confusing. It's like, well, so what am I trusting for this? That's where we've developed, it's, as far as the rest of the business is concerned, it's a single measurement solution. We know we're using the right tool to answer the right question, and they're all laddering up together, carefully controlled and calibrated. But it is just presented to the business so therefore this is the single recommendation that we're making.
Mm-hmm. So I'd love to come to the audience for questions in a minute, so get your thinking caps on. Could you just tell us a little bit more about if you have and you know about these limitations, is it then hard to get everybody internally on board with a program like this?
Yeah. Brilliant question. I never saw that coming.
Thank you.
Why am I reacting as if I didn't know that was going to be a good question? It is so important that this technique has transparency. It's all founded on transparency and openness. MMM, was often seen as something people didn't buy into because it's a black box. I don't understand it. It's spitting out this answer, which often I don't believe. And that is what a lot of data science solutions have done, and AI thinking is they can be great at forecasting, but they don't tell you the why, and therefore you don't believe in it. MMM doesn't have that. The whole point is every single thing that's measured should be measured for a reason and justified. You've entered it into the model because you have a hypothesis about the relationship you expect, and you should be able to share that. If you can't, then your models aren't good, and you shouldn't be standing up and presenting them as the source of truth. But to do that is, in no business there's going to be one person that's the absolute expert of it all. It's about constant education and invitation for the whole business to kind of think about, well, what might I be missing? What's important to drive my business? And that's how you, A, get buy-in, and B, improve your models, because you speak to people who have this idea of what it might be that you're missing, and then you uncover a new kind of factor that you hadn't considered before and enhance it for everyone. So yeah, really kind of being as transparent as possible and being able to say everything in here is in here for a reason, and if I'm missing something, tell me. I'll add it in if it tests and should be in there from a robust point of view.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I told you to get your thinking caps on. Who did get their thinking caps on? Is there any questions coming from the audience at all? Okay, yes, down here at the front. Do we have a microphone? Great, thanks. Come grab it. Come grab it.
Go for the question. I'll repeat it if you want. Well,
I just wanted to ask you, especially if we look at the last kind of 5 years, what we have in GDPR and third-party cookies, et cetera. What changes? Or how has kind of media mix modeling been evolving as a result of that? And that's the first question. The second question is, how much data do you need in order to actually build something that is kind of robust enough that will help you to kind of make decisions on how to, manage your budget across, multi-channels?
Yeah, great question. The first part is about kind of GDPR developments over the last 5 years. How's that impacted things? Is directly, it's not impacted MMM so much because it is about data aggregation. All the data, the primary data on things like sales required for MMM is unaffected. So in that respect, it's not impacted it negatively. However, it's put focus on people relying on MMM, so it's evolved the technique in terms of bringing the intelligence and thinking that's going into experimentation, causal impact modelling, and enhanced the techniques. So a lot of that's actually driven the adoption of Bayesian hierarchical techniques, which is just kind of, it is utilising kind of data intelligence to guide your models to make them better, make them smarter, make them quicker to run. So that's kind of the key benefit that's come out of the last 5 years. What was the second part?
Yeah, just in terms of how much data do you need?
Oh, how much data? Yeah. In reality, you do need a lot, and the model's only going to be as good as the data that you have. You need ideally 3 years history of data split in the way that's meaningful to your business. If that's splitting it by country, sales channel, categories that you sell, you need to be able to kind of split all your data that way and then match pricing data to that. So it can be quite intensive, but it's usually information that's all available for data reporting. And the idea is, somebody that knows the data should know exactly what to ask for.
Brilliant. I have time for one more question down the front. Down back. Let me bring it over the mic to you. There you go.
Hey Gordon. Nice to see you here at the event, and thanks for sharing all this information on MMM. Maybe you could share something about what makes insights coming out of MMM actionable for paid marketeers at Adidas?
Yeah, great question, and great to see you in person as well. Really, what makes it actionable is it comes down to this idea of that unicorn, or if you don't have that unicorn, having experts of making sure what you've measured is actionable. You've measured things like the media response curves, and so therefore should I increase or decrease my investment to maximise my return. So it's having that narrative about understanding the point of diminishing returns, understanding the short-term and long-term effects, and then that allows you to make your investment decisions full funnel. So I'd say that's the biggest thing that we've had, is being able to kind of get a common currency of short-term and long-term effects that allow us to kind of make the decisions around what we should be investing in, real upper funnel, engaging with our future audience activity, versus making sure we're not losing out on an opportunity to convert profitable sales at the other end of the funnel. That is all based on having entered and tested relationships in your variables that allow you to plan against that sort of stuff.
Brilliant. Well, Gordon Black, thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Well, we're going to be moving